organizers. تمام كده؟
Dearest participants, distinguished guests, good morning. We would like to welcome you to the land of heritage and civilization, the land of peace and prosperity, to the mermaid of the Mediterranean and the farthest part of our continent, Africa. We welcome you in Egypt.
Chers participants, distingués invités, bonjour. Nous vous accueillons à la terre du patrimoine et de la civilisation, terre de paix et de la prospérité, à la sirène de la Méditerranée, dans la partie la plus lointaine de notre continent Afrique. Nous vous accueillons en Égypte.
Today, we gather to mark the start of our 5-day journey, a journey where we exchange thoughts, ideas, and knowledge for the better of our continent, Africa. Today, we start the 12th International African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment Conference. Please allow me to welcome our distinguished panelists, His Excellency Professor Yasser Rifat, Deputy of the Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, on behalf of His Excellency the Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research. Her Excellency Dr. Professor Huda Mustafa, on behalf of Her Excellency of the Minister of Environment. His Excellency Dr. Tidiane Ouattara, Science and Technology Division of the African Union Commission. His Excellency Professor Dr. Mahmoud Hussein, Chairman of the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Science and President of the conference. And our President, His Excellency Professor Dr. Ismail Abdelghaffar Ismail Farab, President of the Arab Academy for Science, Technology and Maritime Transport, and His Excellency Professor Ali Abdelbari, Vice President of the Arab Academy and Chairman of the Organizing Committee.
Aujourd'hui, nous nous rassemblons pour marquer le début de notre voyage de 5 jours. Un voyage où on a échangé pensées, idées et connaissances pour le meilleur de notre continent Afrique. Aujourd'hui, nous commençons la deuxième conférence internationale de l'Association africaine de la télédétection de l'environnement. Permettez-moi d'accueillir nos distingués panélistes, Son Excellence Professeur Yasser Rifat, adjoint du ministre de l'Enseignement supérieur et de la Recherche scientifique. Au nom de Son Excellence, le ministre de l'Enseignement supérieur et de la Recherche scientifique. Son Excellence Dr. Huda Mustafa, au nom de Son Excellence le ministre de l'Environnement. Son Excellence Dr. Tidiane Ouattara, Division des Sciences et de la Technologie de l'Union africaine, Commission AAST. Son Excellence Professeur Mahmoud Hussein, Président de l'Autorité nationale pour la télédétection des sciences spéciales et Président de la conférence. Son Excellence Professeur J.P. Quaffignon, Président de l'Association africaine pour la télédétection de l'environnement et Président de la conférence. Son Excellence Professeur Ismail Abdelghaffar Ismail Farab, Président de l'Académie à de la science, la technologie et les transports maritimes et Président de la conférence. Le professeur Ala Abdelbari, Vice-président de l'Académie à et Président du Comité organisateur.
This year's conference is a result of a joint collaboration between the Arab Academy for Science, Technology and Maritime Transport and organizations affiliated
Excellency Professor Dr. Yasser Rifat, Vice Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research for Research Affairs and the representative of the Ministry. Excellency Dr. Hoda Mustafa, the representative of the Minister of Environmental Affairs. His Excellency Dr. Tidiane Boutara, Science and Technology Division, the African Union Commission, AUC. Professor Mahmoud Hussein, the President of the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Sciences, NARS. Professor G.D. Kofiniyi, the President of the African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment. His Excellency Professor Ismail Abdulghafar Ismail Farag, the President of the Arab Academy for Science, Technology and Maritime Transport, and the President of the conference. Professor Ala Abdelbari, the Vice President of the Arab Academy and Chairman of the Organizing Committee, our distinguished guests and participants. It's my great pleasure to start the opening ceremony of the 12th International Conference of the African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment, and I have the honor to announce the beginning of the conference opening session. And now, I'd like to invite Professor Dr. Ala Abdelbari, Vice President for Postgraduate Studies and Scientific Research, and the Chairman of the local organizing committee of the conference.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. His Excellency Professor Dr. Yasser Rifat, Vice Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research for Research Affairs and the representative of the Minister. Her Excellency Dr. Hoda Mustafa, representative of the Minister of Environmental Affairs. His Excellency Dr. Tidiane Boutara, Science and Technology Division, African Union Commission, AUC. Professor Dr. Mahmoud Hussein, President of the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Science, Egypt. Professor Dr. G.D., Professor G.D., President of African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment. His Excellency Professor Dr. Ismail Abdulghafar Ismail Farag, President of the Arab Academy for Science and Technology and Maritime Transport, and the President of the conference. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. After 2 years of being selected to organize this conference and 1 year of working with the scientific and the organizing committees, I would like to start by welcoming you in Alexandria, the highlight of the Mediterranean and the place where the African and European civilization meet. Here, we are in the biggest organization of the Arab League, which started as an institute specializing in maritime transport. And now, it is the biggest non-governmental university and currently leading the science and technology in the Middle East and in the Arab countries. The people here come from Africa and other to share with us our conference, 12th International Conference of African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment, RC 2018, under the affiliation of the African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment. As I am the chairman of the organizing committee, I would like to express how forward we were looking to meet our neighbors from Africa in our campus. I know the amount of efforts exerted and important the scientific researchers presented are, and I was looking forward to meet those who made them in person and enjoy their presentations. Our meeting today wouldn't have been possible without the support of Professor G.D., President of the African Association of Remote Sensing of Environment, Professor Mahmoud Hussein, President of National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Science, Egypt, and my boss, Professor Dr. Ismail Abdel Ismail Farag, President of the Arab Academy, as they provided us with everything to make the conference happen and without any hesitation. I would like to thank also our partners and sponsors, World Food Program, Airbus, Egyptian Telecommunication Egypt TWE, AUC, ESA, European Space Science, and the governmental partners, Academy of Scientific Research and Technology, and STDF, and Erasmus program in Egypt. We would also like to welcome our dear guests, Professor Hussein from FAO, Professor Ahmad Higazi from STDF, Professor Yasser Shay from Erasmus program Egypt. Moreover, special thanks goes to President of GRSS, President of ASPRAS, Professor Christine Hockey, President of SD, Professor Lige, representative of ESA, Benjamin Kotz. Finally, I like to thank my colleagues in the organization committee, in the organizing committee. Words can never express how grateful I am for your efforts. The added value and the accumulated knowledge provided by our neighbors in Africa makes it all worthwhile. God bless us all, and with my best wishes for a fruitful conference, thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And now, with the words from His Excellency Professor Dr. Ismail Abdel Ismail Farag, President of the Arab Academy for Science, Technology and Maritime Transport, and President of the conference.
Et maintenant, avec un mot de son Excellence le professeur Ismail Abdel Ismail Farag, président de l'Académie arabe pour la science, la technologie et les transports maritimes et président de la conférence.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I have the word in English and I'm going to deliver the speech in English, but I like at the beginning to welcome you all. أحب أرحب بكل الموجودين باللغة العربية. برحب بيكم جميعا في الإسكندرية على أرض الكنانة مصر. برحب بكل ضيوفنا الأعزاء من كل مكان شرفونا منه. بتمنى لكم في الإسكندرية عاصمة الثقافة والحضارة والعلوم والفنون طيب الإقامة، وأتمنى أن نستمتع بالجو الجميل اللي موجود في الإسكندرية. يتاح الفرصة إن شاء الله إن احنا نزور بعض معالم الإسكندرية، ويا ريت لو نقدر نشوف بعض معالم مصر. برحب بيكم كلكم، برحب بكل الحضور، وبتمنى لكم إن شاء الله مؤتمر موفق. Let me come back to the official word. I'd like to welcome His Excellency Professor Dr. Yasser Refat, Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research for Research Affairs, and representative of His Excellency Minister Dr. Professor Khalid Abdel Ghaffar, Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, and special thanks to His Excellency for supporting the conference. I'd like to welcome His Excellency Dr. Hoda Mustafa, Deputy of the Minister of Environment. I'd like to welcome her, and special thanks to His Excellency Minister of Environment. I'd like to welcome His Excellency Dr. Vivian Ouattara. Thank you very much for being with us today. I'd like to welcome His Excellency Professor Dr. Mahmoud Hussein, Chairman of National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Science, and let's thank him for Arab Academy, all officials at the Arab Academy, faculty, staff, thank you very much. Actually, it's a great honor to be here with you today. Today, I stand before you to represent the Arab Academy of Science, Technology, and Maritime Transport, which is one of the specialized organizations in the League of Arab States that is specialized in education, consultancy, research, and training. We are one of the organizers of this conference alongside with our partners. I'd like to thank all our partners. It's also a pleasure for me to have this constellation of scientists from fields of remote sensing, space science, environment, and development as a whole. So I'd like to thank you for all effort that you have exerted during the last 2 years to have to achieve this enjoyable journey to achieve this conference. And I believe that Egypt's vision for 2030 considered remote sensing and space science as core element for development. And I believe it's the same case in most of our countries in our beloved continent, Africa and Arab countries. There is no proof for this other than the decision of the President Fattah al-Sisi to establish an Egyptian space agency and to host the African Space Agency. Arab Academy, where we stand today, welcomes you all, and I'd like, if you can find a chance to go and have a tour inside the Academy to see all the facilities that we do have, to meet with our main capital, the human being, the faculty, deans, to meet with students from most of the Arab countries, from Egypt, from Africa, the students who are the future, and I'd like to meet with them and to see the environment they're living at. I am very confident of the future of the Arab and African nation, because we do have a wealth, which is our youth, our future leaders, inshallah. Actually, I don't like to make my speech longer than it should be. I'd like to thank all the organizers, to thank all those who achieved this great conference. I'd like you to have very successful sessions, very successful discussions, and we are waiting for the recommendations of this conference, and I'm sure that all the officials in our countries will take that in their consideration. You are the scientists, you are the industry makers, so we are very eager to listen for your recommendations. I'd like to thank you very much, you all. Best luck, best wishes, have a successful conference, and thank you for having all this long trip to come to here to Alexandria. We are very pleased to host you, and thank you very much. I hope you successful conference. Thank you.
And now, with a word from His Excellency Professor G. Kofini, President of the African Association for Remote Sensing of the Environment and President of the conference.
Et maintenant, avec un mot de son Excellence le professeur J.D. Kwafani, président de l'Association africaine pour la télédétection de l'environnement et président de la conférence.
His Excellency Professor Dr. Yasser Arafat, Vice Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research for Research Affairs and Representative of the Minister, Her Excellency Professor Dr. Mahmoud Hussein, President of the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Sciences, Egypt, NAS. His Excellency Professor Dr. Ismail Abdel Ghaffar Ismail Farad, President of the Arab Academy for Science and Technology and Maritime Transport, President of the conference. Professor Dr. Bala Abdel Bari, Vice President of Arab Academy and hardworking Chairman of the Organizing Committee. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, of the Council and members of the African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment, AAST, I would like to welcome all participants to the 12th edition of AAST Biennial International Conference holding in this historic city of Alexandria, Egypt, from 25th to 29th October 2018. Let me start by thanking the government of Egypt for granting us the permission to organize this conference in Egypt and for supporting the conference. I congratulate our joint host, the Arab Academy of Science, Technology and Maritime Transport, and the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Sciences, as well as the hardworking local organizing committee for the commitment and commendable organization of this conference. I also hereby express the profound appreciation of AAST to the sponsors of the conference, notably the African Union Commission for sponsoring 20 participants to this conference, the IEEE Geo-Science and Remote Sensing Society for sponsoring another 7 participants through the GRSS AAST Travel Fellowship, and the European Space Agency for the long-standing sponsorship of Best Paper Awards. The exhibitors, including our regular ones, Airbus, GeoConsult, we appreciate your long-standing partnership. The Biennial Conference is one of the objectives of AAST within its primary aim of increasing the awareness of African governments and their institutions, the private sector, and the society at large about the empowering and enhancing benefits of developing, applying, and utilizing responsibly the products of and services of Earth observation systems and geoinformation technology. The conference is a distinguished forum in Africa for interacting with international constituencies of Earth observations, geospatial technology, and spatial data infrastructure administrators, policymakers, scientists, users, developers, service providers, students, and professionals. It is conducted in even-numbered years, usually in the last week of October, across Africa on various relevant topics of Earth observation and geospatial information sciences, apart from other awareness and capacity building activities. Chairperson, before this edition, AAST has organized 11 of such conferences in Zimbabwe in 1996, Cote d'Ivoire in 1998, Cape Town, South Africa in 2000, Nigeria 2002, Kenya 2004, Egypt, Cairo in 2006, Ghana in 2008, Ethiopia 2010, Morocco 2012, South Africa again 2014, and Uganda in 2016. We move around in order to sensitize the government in every subregion of Africa about the power and the enabling environment provided by Earth observation. The theme of this conference, Earth observations and geospatial science in service of sustainable development goals, has been carefully chosen to emphasize the vital role of observation and geospatial information in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, and the African Union Agenda 2063. The subthemes of the conference will significantly contribute to the realization of the aforementioned global and regional development agenda. The technical plenary and parallel sessions, consisting of oral and interactive paper presentations, as well as scientific and commercial exhibitions of services and latest equipment, will surely promote the advancement of knowledge, research development, education, and training in space science and geospatial technology, including photogrammetry, remote sensing, GIS, and other applications in sustainable development. The declarations of our conferences have been contributing to the development of our observation and geospatial technology and their applications in Africa. It is our expectation, therefore, that at the end of this conference, participants will come up with concrete and implementable declarations that will enhance the sustainable implementation of the first 10-year plan of the AGO Agenda 2063, the Sustainable Development Goals, the African Action Plan on UNDGIM, the Geo 2016 to 2025 Strategic Plan and Applications, the African Space Policy and Strategies, the GMES and Africa Program, and the Digital Belt and Road Initiative, as well as the integration of the Earth Observation and Geospatial Technology private sector. Once again, I join our organizers in welcoming the AAST membership and partners, other geospatial practitioners, exhibitors, and our sponsors to this conference, while looking forward to your vibrant participation and sharing of experiences to ensure that we conclude the conference with robust and realizable declaration aimed at the rapid and sustainable development of our continent. Permit me, Chairperson, before concluding this welcome address, I want to encourage non-members of AAST here present to pick up the membership form at our stand or by visiting the website of the association. The membership includes students, professional individuals, institutions, and national associations from all Africa and worldwide working in domains related to remote sensing, geospatial information science. I'm also inviting our academic institutions to join and participate in the academic network of the UNDGI, while wishing the participants fruitful interactions and success at this conference. Please rest assured of the continued commitment and support of AAST towards achieving a rapid uptake of Earth observation and geospatial sciences in Africa. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please all welcome His Excellency Professor Dr. Mahmoud Hussein, President of the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Science and President of the conference.
Veuillez tous souhaiter la bienvenue à son Excellence Professeur Dr. Mahmoud Hussein, Président de l'Autorité nationale pour la télévision et les sciences spatiales et Président de la conférence.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اسمحوا لي في البداية أن أتوجه الشكر إلى معالي وزير التعليم العالي والبحث العلمي وأشكره على الموافقة لهذا المؤتمر الهام، كما أتوجه الشكر للسيد الأستاذ الدكتور إسماعيل عبد الغفار على استضافة هذا المؤتمر وتقديمه في صورة رائعة جدا تمثل مصر جميعا أمام كل أفريقيا وأمام كل العالم. His Excellency Dr. Yasser Rifat, Vice Minister and the representative of our Minister for Higher Education and Scientific Research, His Excellency Dr. Hoda Mustafa, representative of the Minister of Environmental Affairs, His Excellency Professor Dr. Ismail Abdel Ghaffar, the President of Arab Academy for Science and Technology and the Maritime Transport, the President of this conference. His Excellencies Dr. Tidiane Ouattara, Science and Technology Division, African Union Commission, His Excellency Dr. Gidi Koutenay, President, African Association for Remote Sensing and Environment. Professor Dr. Ala Abdelbari, Vice President of Arab Academy and the Chairman of the Organizing Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed delegations, professors, experts, and colleagues, good afternoon. I am very honored to be here with you and welcome you in Egypt and Alexandria, my beautiful city. As you might recall, ARC 2006 was hosted by NARS, the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Sciences, in Cairo, And we decided to host this year in the second big city of Alexandria on the Mediterranean coast. The African Association for Remote Sensing and Environment Conference is one of the unique conferences in Africa that deals with the remote sensing activities and geospatial information. This conference sustains its regularity as a biannual conference that gathers all experts and professionals in remote sensing applications in Africa and outside Africa to meet and share their ideas, thoughts, and research to the benefits of our society in African continent. This year, AARC 2018 theme is the Earth observations and geospatial science in service of sustainable development goals, which is targeting the use of remote sensing and geospatial information for the implementation of sustainable development goals and improving our socio-economic status. We need to understand more and collaborate more on using the space science technology for facing our challenges. Africa has many challenges that need you esteemed experts and young researchers to work together and use the technology to transform our continent into knowledge economy and improve our lifestyle. We are sure that you present your outstanding research and makes discussion and deliberations for the benefit of our society. This will provide ideas and thoughts on how to transfer these outcomes of your research to the community. We need to foster our cooperation and leverage our research to respond to our key issues of food security, disaster management, natural resources management, and all user needs and societal needs. I wish you a very pleasant stay and successful conference and workshops for our research, and I wish and please don't forget to walk around and taste Alexandria and the coastal and my beautiful city. Thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please welcome His Excellency Dr. Tiziano Ouattara, Science and Technology Division, African Union Commission.
Veuillez tous souhaiter la bienvenue son Excellence Dr. Tiziano Ouattara, Division des Sciences et de la Technologie, Union Africaine Commission AAST.
Merci beaucoup aux deux dames. Je suis très ravi pour l'alternance entre le français et l'anglais. Cela dénote de la diversité de la variété culturelle de l'Égypte. His Excellency, Professor Dr. Yasser Arafat, Vice Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research for Research Affairs and representative of the Minister. Your Excellency, Dr. Oda Mosra, representative of the Minister of Environment to Africa, Professor Dr. Mohamed Yusuf, President of the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Science, NAPS, Professor Dr. Jide Kufuyuni, my only senior brother, President of the African Association of Remote Sensing in Environment, His Excellency, Professor Dr. Ismail Abdel Ghaffar Ismail Farah, President of the Arab Academy for Science and Technology and Maritime Transport, President of the conference. Professor Dr. Allah Abdelbar, Vice President of Arab Academy and Chairman of the Organizing Committee. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It is always a pleasure to be in Egypt, this excellent country, the earth of humanity, le berceau de l'humanité. First of all, on behalf of the African Union Commission, let me thank the government of the Arab Republic of Egypt for organizing the 12th International Conference of the African Association of Remote Sensing for the Environment, and for bringing together all African Earth observation experts and stakeholders to spend 1 week in thinking, exploring, and digging on Earth observation and geospatial science in service of sustainable development goals. It is indeed a pleasure for the African Union Commission to participate in such excellent and valuable discussion and thank. This initiative is aligned with the Aspiration 7 of the Agenda 2063 of the African Union Commission entitled The Africa We Want. This Aspiration 7 is promoting and using science and technology for reaching the main goals of the Africa Sustainable Development by 2063. In this context, one of the key pillars of the Aspiration 7 is the African Union Commission Science, Technology and Innovation Strategy by 2024, STISA 2024. Two of the key elements of the STISA 2024 are the African Space Policy and Strategy. These policy and strategy are promoting and coordinating Earth observation among other activities of space in Africa. On Sunday, I will elaborate more on how the African Space Policy and Strategy, mainly the Earth observation segment, is contributing to reaching the African Sustainable Development Goals. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we are on the same boat. This is why the African Union Commission will religiously follow up this important event of RC 2018. And the African Union Commission will own all the resolutions and findings from this conference. On this, and on behalf of the African Union Commission again, I would like to wish us successful sessions and deliberations. Merci à tous et bon séjour en terre d'humanité qu'est l'Égypte. Merci.
Please now welcome Her Excellency Dr. Hoda Mustafa, representative of the Minister of the Environment.
Et maintenant, veuillez accueillir Son Excellence Dr. Hoda Mustafa, représentant du ministre de l'Environnement.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Remote Sensing and Space Science, Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Ghaffar, President of Arab Academy for Science Technology, Professor G.D. Koufeni, President, African Association of Remote Sensing, Dr. Tidiane Otora, African Union Commission, Professor Dr. Ala Abdel Bari, Vice President of Arab Academy for Science and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Ministry of Environment, it is my great pleasure to be here today at opening of the International Conference of the African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment with Arab Academy for Science, Technology and Maritime Transport in cooperation with the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Science, and to extend my warmest welcome to all participants from all corners of the world in the Alexandria, which is the second largest city in Egypt. Also, I would like to thank you, Mrs. Yasmin Fouad, Minister of Environment, apology for not attending this respectable conference due to her work commitments. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's opening, I would like to emphasize that the agenda of the conference covers a wide range of very interesting topics related to using remote sensing in the environmental fields, such as capacity building, spatial data infrastructure, space policy, programs and projects, as well as commercial exceptions showing latest products and services in remote sensing and geospatial information technologies. Also, it is an opportunity in this conference to focus on the aim of the remote sensing for environmental community that puts major efforts into calibration and validation of sensor measurements and drive the products to quantify and reduce uncertainties, where remote sensing can be used to study deforestation, degradation fertile lands, pollution in atmosphere, desertification, eutrophication of large water bodies, and oil spillage from oil tankers. And remote sensing data is useful in obtaining up-to-date land use pattern of largest areas at any given time, and also monitor changes that occur from time to time. This information is used by regional planners and administrators to frame policy matters for all-round development vision. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, I would like to close my speech by wishing the conference a great success for the organizers and all participants, and I hope that every one of you will have fruitful and meaningful exchange in these 5 days. Thank you.
Please welcome His Excellency Professor Yasser Refat, Deputy of the Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, for a message.
S'il vous plaît, veuillez tous souhaiter la bienvenue à son Excellence Professeur Yasser Refat, au nom du ministre de l'Enseignement supérieur et de la Recherche scientifique, pour un message.
His Excellency Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Ghaffar, President of Arab Academy for Science and Technology and Maritime Transport, President of the conference, Professor Dr. Ala Abdel Bari, Vice President of Arab Academy and Chairman of the Organizing Committee, Professor Dr. G.D. Koufeni, President of African Association of Remote Sensing in Environment, His Excellency Dr. Tidiane Ottara,
Science and Technology Division, African Union Commission, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Hussein, Chairman of the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Science, Egypt, NARS, Her Excellency Dr. Hoda Mustafa, representative of the Minister of Environmental Affairs, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed delegations, professors, experts, and colleagues, good afternoon. I'm glad to welcome you in Egypt and here in Alexandria, the bride of the Mediterranean Sea. On behalf of His Excellency, the Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, Professor Khalid Abdel-Ghaffar, I warmly welcome you and wish you a very pleasant stay and successful conference. I understand that this conference is the biggest remote sensing and geospatial information conference in Africa that attracts experts, professors, young researchers from academia and research institutes in Africa and all over the globe to meet and discuss issues related to applications of remote sensing. We know that Africa is a big continent with many challenges: poverty, peace and security, water resources, food, health, and so on. These challenges need all attention to direct efforts and technology enabler in order to tackle the problems to improve our citizens' life. We know how much space technology could be an enabler to meet our needs and provide support to decision makers for societal benefits. Egypt had an early interest in space. Pharaohs used to watch stars and study their locations and relative movement. For centuries, Egypt's Great Pyramids mysteries baffled scientists with its relation to space and stars. Modern Egypt recognized space as a legal concern in 1935. In 1960, Egypt started its official space program with ambitious goals to achieve. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first artificial Earth satellite, which led to a paradigm shift in the field of space exploration. Earthlings started to literally reach for stars instead of just gazing at them. Egypt is currently an emerging spacefaring nation with many ambitions to explore space as well as protect and advance lives on Earth through peaceful use of outer space. The activity of both sensing and space science began in Egypt with the beginning of the 70s through a joint research program of the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology with the American side, and then developed to establish a remote sensing center of the Academy in 1972, which later was developed to the National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Sciences, NARS. NARS is looking forward to being the most distinguished scientific center in the region in developing and applying various remote sensing and space science techniques to explore and manage land resources to support decision makers and researchers in various development sectors. In addition, NARS aims to build the capacity to monitor, transfer, and present the latest technologies in the field of remote sensing and peaceful applications of space science for the purpose of applying these technologies in collaboration with various state institutions to serve development plans and objectives. The theme of the African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment this year is Earth Observations and Geospatial Science in Service of Sustainable Development Goals, which is targeting the use of remote sensing and geospatial information for the implementation of sustainable development goals. Indeed, your scientific research, deliberations, and discussions will provide ideas and thoughts on how to transfer these outcomes of your research to the community. We need to foster our research to respond to our societal needs and create jobs and improve socio-economic situation of Africa. Africa has a very optimistic STI strategy that puts space as pillar of this strategy, and we need you to work all together on new technology of a space application to achieve the objectives of the strategy for the agenda of 2063. Last but not least, I want to thank all representatives and authorities headed by Professor Ismail Abdel Ghaffar of the Arab Academy of Science and Technology and Maritime Transport for the time and efforts they spent to make the conference in this overwhelming shape. I wish you all having fruitful discussions and collecting doable recommendations that we can build on it, execute programs for goodness of our beloved continent, Africa. Have a nice day.
Et maintenant, le trophée AAST sera dédié par son Excellence Professeur Ismail Abdel Ghaffar Ismail Farah.
And now, the Arab Academy Trophy will be dedicated by His Excellency Professor Ismail Abdel Ghaffar to His Excellency Professor Yasser Rifat. His Excellency Professor Dr. Mahmoud Hussein.
Son Excellence Professeur J.D. Confreni.
Representatives of the World Food Program. Representative of Airbus. Representative of the ESA. Representative of the Express.
ESA, European Space Science.
Representative of the Express.
Professor Christian.
You coming this way or coming?
Dear participants and guests, we would like to draw your attention to some instructions. All plenary sessions will be held in this hall, and all breaks and tea breaks will be held outside this hall. All the lunch will be held in the same restaurant of today, and all technical sessions will be held in the same session as today also. Thank you.
اتفضلوا يا فندم ناخد صوره جماعيه. ممكن تاناونس على صوره جماعيه هنا كده للصوره ونرجع للمحاضره. ولا تفضل حضرتك
Chers participants invités, s'il vous plaît, étant avant le volume, vos photos, nous aurons une pause de demi-heure et nous allons à la table de discussion. Merci.
Distinguished participants and guests, please step before the podium for our group photo.
حد يجي جنبي صوره واقف عشان علاء ما يقفش جنبي.
لسه في سيشن
حد بيتكلم بيعمل برزنتيشن هتصوره هو البرزنتيشن دي هتبقى
Egypt has been a world football. So for our first session of the day, please all welcome Dr. Manis Tafrili, Representative and Country Director of the UN World Food Program in Egypt, in the session entitled Public-Private Partnership Supporting Geospatial Information for Sustainable Development.
L'expérience du programme alimentaire mondial invisible a été remarquable. Donc, pour notre première session de la journée, veuillez tous souhaiter la bienvenue à Dr. Manis Tafrili, représentant et directeur du pays du programme alimentaire mondial des Nations Unies en Égypte, lors de la session intitulée Partenariat public-privé soutenant l'information géospatiale pour un développement durable, objectif et développement.
Thank you very much. As introduced, my name is Mr. Haide, and I am the country director of the World Program here in Egypt. My topic is public-private partnership in the public-private partnership supporting geospatial information for sustainable development. And we selected this topic because we wanted to share our experience on how public-private partnership should support development. Now, I want to share with you some personal stories why I have been involved in this area. After studying in the UK and working in the UK in 1996, I went back to Ethiopia, come from Ethiopia. And I was helping to set up the early warning system in Ethiopia. And this is 1996. And some of you may remember there was a very severe drought in Ethiopia on that year. And we were getting a lot of information from the ground. We have 400 people working in the field, sending us information about the drought. And we were doing a lot of analysis. But the donors and the government and everyone else could not agree on the way forward to respond to the drought that was taking place. That was until we actually used simple NDVI analysis where we show here is the problem, it used to be like this, and now the difference, if you look at the NDVI, this is what is happening. And that immediately changed how the whole early warning system was working. And in fact, those data sets were shared with the donors, technical people, and it created an environment where everyone understood what was happening. Now, that is the first example. The second example is I joined a World Program in Sudan in 1999 and 2000. I was working in Khartoum in Sudan. And again, you remember the disaster drought of 2000 in the Horn of Africa. Again, we were facing a similar issue. Now, what we did in Sudan, some of you might even remember, there is what we call satellite-based agrometeorological information system. This is SAMIS, and we established this as a partnership between WFP, the government, the Dutch government, who provides the funding, and the University of Reading, TAMSA. So there you go, in 2000 we had a partnership that worked and addressed the issue. That system still exists. And in fact, it has further developed into a better system and is being used widely. So I'm bringing these examples because the way we use remote sensing, the way you use data will influence how we respond to emergency, we respond to planning, we respond to development. Now in this title, I focus more on examples here in Egypt. The work of WFP here in Egypt focuses on few areas. We focus on social protection, we support refugees, we support smallholder farmers, we support capacity building, and I want to focus more on the capacity building, and as the title indicated, we talked about public-private partnership. Why public-private partnership? What is the benefit of doing that? I think that the benefit of that is, one, when you have public-private partnership, you have often credibility. Because you have the private sector, you have the governments, you have the partners. So when you talk together as partners, you get credibility. And as I earlier mentioned, the example of Ethiopia, where we said, once we start using the satellite data and the partners, it brings change. It can develop innovations. The private sector are innovators. Now we are giving them platforms for innovation. We will have ownership. You will have private sector are very good at taking ownership because there is profit involved, there is work involved. So it is important between governments and private sector to develop those ownerships. Then we also can develop resource mobilization. It is easier when you work together with private sector, public and private partnerships to mobilize resources. So these are the basics why we, as WFP here in Egypt, we focus on developing public-private partnerships. I don't need to dwell on this why data is important for the SDGs and Vision 2030. I'm very glad to report that here in Egypt, as a country, it has a very strong strategic plan. The Constitution of Egypt is very clearly articulates how development should move forward. The Vision 2030 is very clear, and their interpretation of the Agenda 2063 is very clear. So this creates a platform for us to actually support and work with the government. Why do we use geospatial and so on? You are the expert, so I don't need to spend more time on this, but it is important if we are going to push forward with the SDGs, we need this information. Now, here in Egypt, in fact, I go one step back. What are the challenges of geospatial or using satellite information? I have been working in this field for many years, and sometimes we say it is very expensive. Well, no, actually it's not expensive. Sometimes the leadership or the people who make decisions may not be aware of its services. Sometimes we don't have the technical expertise. Sometimes we have systems that are driven by donors or other institutions that do not have any link with government systems. So there are a number of those, but cost is not a huge factor, but that's what you will hear often. Satellite information, satellite data is expensive, and it's not expensive for what you get out of the satellite service that you provide. Here we are looking at what are the different aspects, how the whole geospatial should be organized. And this is the model that we are using here in Egypt. Now, but to go to this, first we need to identify various partners in this country. And here is a list of several of the partners that we work with, but couldn't work with all of them at the same time. So we had to make a choice, start as a pilot with one institution. And we started with CAPMAS. Simply we selected CAPMAS because CAPMAS actually had the largest data set in the country. And if we enable CAPMAS, then CAPMAS will support the other ministries. So the first pilot that we have is working the public-private partnership with CAPMAS. And this is a more detailed steps that we follow. Now, when you are dealing with capacity building, when you are working on supporting governments, it can't be short term. If it is 1 year or 6 months, it will not work. So whatever partnership we want to develop, it takes longer time. So the partnership we started with CAPMAS, we started working on these issues from 2011. And at every level we have a deliverable that jointly is worked out. And as a group, it is us, WFP, and several private sector companies in Egypt, and Egypt does have many capable private sector entities, and we provide the resources with the government entities. So this is the first example where pilot we work with. Now, if you here, so as WFP, I need to take account with my bosses and in headquarters. So I need to show that I'm talking about early warning, I'm talking about food security. But of course, the data that we use is useful for anything that you want to do. So for your planning purposes and so on. So this is a model that we use for us to say the information that we are helping CAPMAS is providing WFP with the information that we require. And that is for early warning, for evidence-based decisions, and risk reduction and so on. But again, it's the same data set will be useful for planning purposes. The CAPMAS geospatial platform does have several layers, and it's quite a sophisticated system that was developed. ESRI was contracted to support CAPMAS, and in fact we had an office, they had an office in CAPMAS working with them to make sure this works. Now, there's one question. Most governments hesitate to work with partners or with private sector. And we need to understand what are those cases that may not work. Now, sometimes it's very simple. For CAPMAS, they were worried about access to their data. Someone may access the data and they may not be able to control that. So, as public-private partnership, you address those issues that government will be concerned and how to build the confidence, because partnerships should have confidence among the partners. So these are the three, when I say public-private partnership on this one, it is WFP, it is the government of Egypt, particularly with CAPMAS, and the private sector was Esrinea, which is an Egyptian company here. The CAPMAS geospatial platform is now a well-developed system, and in fact, we have got several awards globally for this work, and essentially how private partnership can actually deliver results. And these are some of the examples where we jointly got the awards. Now, this is very interesting because CAPMAS used the technologies that were developed for the census. The Egyptian census, after the data was collected, within 2 months, they have the results. And this is very unusual. They deployed 40,000 tablets on the ground, and they used the whole infrastructure that was built through the process. And this is where the president actually launched the data. So this is an example of a partnership that started to talk about food security and ended up actually contributing to the national statistical census. So that was 2017, and now we are moving forward with the support to CAPMAS, where we are going to have mobile applications on their platform, which means you could actually query the entire data system that CAPMAS has and see what you want out of that. And this is a real game changer in terms of how we are using that. Now, obviously, when you look at it, this is not WFP's work, but WFP's work, as long as it contributes to the SDGs and to the work of the government's priorities, then becomes our work. Now, out of CAPMAS, now we are working with several other ministries. So that's why I said we started with one ministry, with one entity, and then we are replicating this with other government ministries. The first one is the Ministry of Social Solidarity. We have Ministry of Supply and Trade. We have Ministry of Education. And the reason why we are moving from one to the other is once you build the system, then we are creating an interface between the different ministries and the bigger data set that we have. Of course, we hope through this pilot organization that we have in CAPMAS, through this pilot country, Egypt, we are also aiming for a continental level sharing, because as earlier was mentioned, Egypt is interested to share with other African countries the know-how that is developed here. And what we have developed here, particularly working with the different ministries, the model that we have managed to develop would be very useful to be used in other countries. And in fact, we are in discussion with 5 or 6 other African countries under a South-South collaboration on how the Egyptian government experience as Egypt can share with the facilitation of WFP and the other private sector to work on this. So this is essentially what I am alluding is looking at what we can do in terms of working for the African continent. There is another innovation that we are starting. All this knowledge that we have been able to build, we will be sharing through a knowledge sharing platform. And in fact, we are together with the government, we are now developing a system we call it the Luxor Coordination Center for Knowledge Sharing and Innovation to promote resilience in Upper Egypt. Again, this is data, as data is not, it has to fit into applications, so that applications on resilience, applications on nutrition, applications on supply chain, on value chain, all those we would need the information that is generated from this. So what I have tried today in this is to give you a personal example where all this started, and incidentally I started this in Ethiopia and then in Sudan, and now I'm continuing in Egypt, so which is quite nice. Is essentially working with governments on their priorities and developing partnerships and moving with those partnerships forward, but bringing in the private sector as appropriate. But if we are talking about the African continent, we also need to make sure that the private sector that we are referring to should also be African private sector. It should include the startups, it should include in the continent, and there should be a mechanism, because that is where we will get sustainability. So this is in short what I wanted to say today, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
This presentation should have been delivered by my great colleague Guylaine Massayet. He couldn't make it today, but he sent you his greetings. Well, somebody told me that there is no sound, or? Well, okay. It seems that the mic is working properly from here. Well, so let's continue the presentation. So I'm taking the floor today. I am myself Jean-Louis Bellon, in charge of the Reseller Network for Africa and Middle East for this business unit within Airbus called Business Intelligence. I am going to start with a few slides presenting what we do and who we are. So it will be very short because I think that I have only 15 minutes or maybe 20, if you allow me to do that, to make the presentation. So a few slides to present ourselves, and in the second part I am going to present in a few additional slides some exciting developments currently taking place in our company Airbus. So first of all, as Airbus Intelligence, we have a unique position in the geo-information activity or business, since we cover the overall added value chain from collecting the data themselves, thanks to direct operation of our own constellation, to the processing of this data by operating the pixel factory and making this data readily available for ingestion in geographic information system. We also analyze this data, this satellite imagery, combining them with other sources of information and producing what we call actionable information, which is really important for a decision maker. And we also develop tools, processes to disseminate this data on time, on quality, to the right person, mostly decision maker, using this geographic information in their decision-making tools. So we belong to a big group, mainly famous for manufacturing aircraft, but we benefit from long-term strategy of this group, long-term vision of this group, heavy and permanent investment, a global branding, and also a global reach. Here, in our business unit Intelligence, we have a portfolio which is, we can be divided in two parts actually. One part which is very standardized services developed around satellite imagery, and on the other side we have very customized solution mainly developed for the defense market. So that's our activity within this business unit belonging to the Airbus group, this business unit called now Intelligence. What is unique in our activity is that we operate our own satellite constellation. So some of you recognize the radar satellite Pandemix and Terrasaris, but also optical satellite like the Spot Twins, featuring 1.5 meter resolution, 60 km swath, perfect for large coverage of territories, but also Pleiades imagery at 50 centimeter resolution, allowing us to be strongly present on the very high resolution market. We complete this constellation with also international partnership, and here you can see TripleSat, which is, we have a partnership with this Chinese company. We have also a partnership to increase our radar capacity with PASS, which has been launched recently and which is currently in its commissioning phase, but it will be commercially available in the coming weeks. And at the very end of the chain, you can see appearing Pleiades Neo, which is a new constellation developed by Airbus, fully funded by Airbus, but I am going to come back to that one in more detail later on in my presentation. The existing constellation, so you have some illustration here. So with this constellation, we have a unique offer for our customer as we cover a full range of resolution, down to 25 centimeters for radar imagery, down to 50 centimeters for optical imagery with Pleiades imagery. it's multi-sensor, multi-resolution, multi-SWAT. So with this constellation, we answer to any needs expressed by our customers. But beyond these existing assets, we have started to develop the future, and the future is developed around two axes. First of all, the Pléiades Neo constellation featuring 30 centimeter resolution that will be launched very soon, as soon as 2020. And on the other, very complementary with this new satellite constellation, we will have also the HAPS program. So HAPS stands for High Altitude Pseudo Satellite, which will bring beyond the global reach provided by Pléiades Neo, which will bring persistent surveillance over a specific location. So I'm going to present that in further detail in my presentation. What you have to keep in mind about Pléiades Neo, well, it's obviously the main feature is 30 centimeter resolution. It's so it's built for 10 years nominal life, and it's what is also important. It's a program fully funded by Airbus, 100% funded by Airbus. The schedule is the following. So development are ongoing. We will launch the first batch of 2 satellites in 2020. So and the second batch in 2022, making it a 4 satellite constellation at the end, with this 30 centimeter resolution, so 4 identical satellites featuring the same specification. We are on track to reach this ambitious objective of launching the first batch in 2020. The development are well advanced now. The launcher has been selected, and obviously all the funds are secured for this big investment for our company. So to give you a flavor of what you will get with Pléiades Neo, just a few slides. So 30 centimeter resolution that will allow you to distinguish individuals on the satellite image. It will also feature some 6 additional spectral bands, including blue, infrared, and red edge. So this will be available in 2020, so quite soon, if we consider it's only in 1 year time, a bit more than a 1 year time, and that's one of the very exciting developments within Airbus. The other exciting development is supported by the high altitude pseudo satellite. So the principle of this asset is that it's going to be, it's a drone actually, it's a UAV. It's going to fly at an altitude of 20 kilometers, so at the limit of the stratosphere, 20 kilometers, and sending in real time, in streaming mode, images and video to the ground station just below the ground itself. So it will be used for persistent surveillance. That means that it will fly over a specific location like a city or a megacity, and with an autonomy of several months, thanks to the solar panel, and sending in real time imagery and video to the ground. So to give you also here, it's the kind of images that you will get and video that you will get from this kind of asset. So it's the real payload which has been tested over Barcelona from an aircraft. So here it's the real camera that is going to be used on this program. So it's already a reality, and the bird is flying. So it's beyond the prototype mode, and we think to have a commercial availability of this kind of service in 2020 as well. Thanks to this data, but also thanks to the development of our web platform, One Atlas, our objective is to consolidate our position on our existing and traditional market, like agriculture, like oil and gas, like environment, or city planning, but also to reach new customers, like in automotive, with new localized based service, like in finance or in business intelligence as well, so reaching new customer on the commercial market. So this One Atlas platform, which is also one of the big investment for our business unit, intelligence, is sustained by 4 pillars. So One Atlas data, because one of the main objectives of this platform is to ease access for our customer to the satellite imagery. But also, one other pillar is One Atlas thematic, because we know that our customer want to get more information, less pixel and more information. So more and more, most of our customers are hungry for information, actionable information. So we want to provide something pixel with added value. One Atlas software, it's also a service that will be provided by this platform, making available some of the software developed by our company Airbus through the web platform, so available on demand and online. And last but not least, One Atlas hosting, which is, well, we will host also some development made by our partners and resellers. So just to get into further details, One Atlas data, well, the first step of One Atlas data, which is already existing and proposed to the market, is One Atlas base map. The principle of One Atlas base map, so it's already available, this service, and it's a web platform where you can access satellite images in streaming mode and also available to download. And the principle is that you get images no older than 12 months, so very fresh image. It's a combination of spot imagery and Pleiades imagery available through the web and through a subscription mode. Beyond One Atlas base map, what will be available in the coming weeks, it's the service library. Here you will have access to a deeper archive if you want to carry out time series analysis, if you want to analyze trends from imagery from the past. You will access to the deeper archive of spot and Pleiades imagery and as well terrestrials, but also open source imagery. So you will have access to, you will make also available some open source imagery as Sentinel through this kind of platform. If archive is not enough, through the platform you will have also access to the tasking functionalities. So it's already available through the Geo-spatial platform. So we have already a platform through which you can task our satellite. It's called One Atlas. But this One Atlas software environment will be integrated in the One Atlas platform. And so you will find in the One Atlas tasking offer the one-day option. So when you want to get an image on a specific date, the One Now option, when you want to get an image as soon as possible with the highest priority, you will have also access to one plan. So possibility to cover a specific area of interest in a given time frame. And finally, we will have access to one series, which is a service proposed to you when you want to carry out monitoring services and specific monitoring on a specific location. So, specifically one service is useful when you want to carry out change detection analysis. If you don't want to do it yourself, we will also propose a service to automatically propose a change detection service on the One Atlas platform. So based, when you want to monitor the situation over a specific location, or if you want to monitor also global change, and here we will use the benefit of our spot capacity covering large territories. And so what would be allowed thanks to this change detection service is to we will analyze more specifically human-made change through the change detection service, which will be automatically performed thanks to machine learning and artificial intelligence. When at AAST software, the principle, well, I have already mentioned that, it's to give access to our Pixel Factory software. So the Pixel Factory, well, but here, online, I mean, benefiting from all the benefit of cloud services with all the flexibility and power of clouds. So the principle of Pixel Factory, for those who don't know that, the software, it's already an existing solution sold by AAST for years now. The principle is to process huge volume of imagery, whatever the imagery. It could be satellite imagery, it could be aerial imagery, it could be imagery from drone. So we process imagery as with a resolution as low as 3 centimeter or 5 centimeter, and from this imagery we produce orthomosaic, we produce 3D model, texture 3D model, and we produce digital surface model. So that's a very industrial solution, and here we will make it available for our customer on demand and online. Regarding the thematics and this one class thematic service, we will start to propose to our customer 2 thematics, one dedicated to agriculture based on biophysical parameter. Biophysical parameter is an indicator which goes beyond the NDVI itself, providing an absolute information, providing reliable information about the biomass of the crop, providing reliable information about the nitrogen content of the crop. So this kind of service, thematic service, will be proposed as an application programming interface. That means that we will propose to our customer a toolbox to develop and to integrate this kind of service in their own platform. So here you have an example of this kind of development. So we have used the application programming interface to show you how it works. So here you retrieve a set of parcels and you perform the analysis itself on the different parcels. So it's going to use our commercial data, but also open source data. We are going to use Sentinel data also to feed this kind of service. And here you have an example of a profile made along the crop season over a specific parcel, or we can also perform comparison between contiguous parcels on the same area of interest. So it's mainly dedicated, this service is mainly dedicated to precision agriculture. I didn't mention that at the beginning, I should have. So it's mainly for precision agriculture. The second thematic service will be developed for maritime surveillance. So it's based on automatic recognition of the vessels and combination, so automatic recognition of the vessels. It's again machine learning and artificial intelligence that we use here to carry out this automatic recognition. And this information will be combined with, for those who know maritime surveillance, will be combined with AAST data, which is real-time location of the vessels when they switch on the system. And thanks to the combination of these 2 sources of information and other sources of information as well, we will provide a report to our customer about the maritime activity over a specific area of interest. So, and this will be available again through the One Atlas platform. Well, so defense and security remains one of our main markets. So here again, it's about processing.
Just regarding to our schedule, you must finish.
Yeah, we didn't negotiate at the beginning of time. So well, I finished actually. So we will also develop services for defense, and I have actually only 2 slides. With 2 services, one of them which will be based on open source analytics. So we will analyze social media activity to analyze trends and specific threats And the second service will be based on automatic recognition of activity over specific area of interest, like borders, like cities, like critical assets. The last component of our Monajas platform, it will be a marketplace. It will be a marketplace where we will welcome the development performed by our partners, including our resellers, so that they can access to a broader market through the platform. So here we call for creativity from our partners, and they will be hosted in our platform, and they will have broader access to the market. So that's all for my presentation. I would like to thank you for your attention. It was very quick, so if you have questions about the different topics that were presented, we will be more than happy to welcome you on our booth. We have a booth, as I have booth here, and we will be more than happy to go into further details about the different topics presented today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we have a tea break for half an hour, and then we will resume our day at the exhibition in the Faculty of Engineering. Afterwards, we're going to have our lunch at 2:30, and then we're going to have our first technical sessions from 3:45 to 5:45 in the rooms below. Thank you.
But now we'll start by tea break or coffee break, right? Okay, thank you.
Mesdames et messieurs, nous aurons une pause d'une demi-heure et nous allons à la place de l'exposition à la faculté des ingénieurs après. Merci. Ensuite, le déjeuner aura lieu au restaurant à 2h30, puis la session technique sera de 3h